There's so many of you here on time, and I really appreciate you. Welcome everybody to Teaching Artist Wednesdays, formerly known as Teaching Artist Tuesdays, but that didn't work this year for scheduling. So here we are on a Wednesday, same concept, but different day of the week. We are so excited to have you here, and I know that people will continue to join us, but I would like to go ahead and get started because I have some things to announce at the top before we really get going. So again, welcome. This is the first session of 3 for the 2025 Teaching Artist Wednesdays series. We are thrilled to kick off the series today with this workshop called Teaching Artistry on the International Stage, the Role of Artistic Social Impact in Conflict Settings. My name is Kinsey Keck. I use she, her pronouns. I am a pale-skinned white woman with brown hair. It's down right now. It goes a little bit past my shoulders. I'm wearing a very dark green cozy sweater, and my background is blurred, but I'm calling in from my apartment in Washington Heights, Manhattan. I am also the programs director here at the Roundtable. For those who don't know, the Roundtable is a grassroots service organization that works to improve and advance the state of arts education. One of the ways we do that is with professional development like this. We're also engaged in a lot of advocacy work and putting together resources and platforms to help support the arts education field. Although we are currently meeting online via Zoom today, the Roundtable would like to acknowledge that we do work and live on unceded lands. Mannahatta, or the place also known as New York City, exists on the contemporary and ancestral homelands of the Canarsie, Lenape, Munsee, and Wappinger people. These sovereign nations and communities are still thriving here, and we continue to occupy their lands. So we would like to give a moment of respect to them, as well as to the Black and Brown and immigrant communities who have helped build the city that we know and love today. As we recognize that all of our pasts, presents, and futures are intertwined, we're again going to uplift a handful of contemporary Indigenous arts organizations in the area that we can all support and learn from. So I'm just dropping those links in the chat. If you haven't before, save the links, get to know these organizations, do support them with donations if you can. I also invite you to uplift any organizations that you think are relevant to share with folks in the chat as well. All righty, thank you. Just a few reminders, and then we will really get going. If you have any trouble with Zoom, you can message me. My name is Kinsey. You can also message my colleague, Amanda Adams-Louis, who is on the call with us as well. And we will be here to help. Please do remember to keep your mic on mute unless you are the person speaking so we can hear each other clearly. We encourage you to use the chat to connect with other folks. You can introduce yourself as well if you'd like. Tell us where you're calling in from as well using the chat. And if you have questions, pop them in there as well. I'll be collecting them and we'll have some Q&A time at the end of today's session. This call does include captioning. Automated captioning via Zoom. So to activate those captions, click the captions button on your toolbar or under more on your toolbar, then click show captions, and they should start populating automatically for you. And lastly, this session is being recorded. It will be made available to registrants with all other resources and recordings from the series after this series has concluded. The last one is on January 29th. So the week following that, you'll receive a resource email from me, including those recordings and other things. So look out for that. I see everyone introducing themselves in the chat. That's great. And now if you will all please join me in welcoming our presenters for this evening. I'm so thrilled to have them here. We are welcoming Pablo Mora and Inés Sanguinetti. Pablo is from ITAC, the International Teaching Artists Collaborative, and Inés is from the Crear, Vale, Pena Foundation. Welcome you both. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Kinsey. And well, before we start, I just wanted to thank you for being here, all of you, also to Kinsey and the New York City Arts and Education Roundtable team for the kind invitation and opportunity to participate and to be here with all of you today. For us is truly an honor. My name is Pablo Mora. I am a musician, political scientist, and a future teaching artist from Venezuela. And I am currently based in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I am thrilled to be here with you today in my role as Development Manager for the International Teaching Artists Collaborative, or ITAC, to share more about our global efforts to support teaching artists all over the world and position the arts as a tool for sustainable social change. Joining me today is Inés Sanguinetti, a member of ITAC's Leadership Committee and president of Crear, Vale, Pena, an Argentinian organization that has been leading significant capacity building work to train facilitators across Latin America through its remarkable methodology, Creative Environments, and its many Arts for Social Transformation programs and regional networks. And now, and beyond the barriers of language, they are looking to expand their work and approach to more global spaces and platforms. Today, Inés and her team have a series of engaging and participatory activities prepared for us. And just to add just one more thing before I hand it over to Inés, English is not our first language, so please bear with us if we have a few hiccups along the way. So with all that being said, I'll hand it over to Inés and her team so we can get started.
Thank you, Pablo, and thank you, Kinsey. And I want to add to the presentation that I also belong to ITAC Leadership Committee, which is a privilege, a great, enormous privilege. We're going to be starting with something that I think is very familiar for all of us, that is connecting. Connecting through creativity, connecting through the arts. So, Vanessa, podés poner la placa. We're going to make a simple exercise. And this simple exercise is a way to start connecting from the beginning, no? Here you have a Padlet. That is a tool that probably you would be using, or it's really very familiar for our virtual work. And here we would like to put a short testimony of what is it that we need to let go in our lives, in our context, and what is it that we would like to bring to life. It's very simple, short. It's like an improv that something, you don't need to elaborate something. It's what is the response of your body, of your heart, if I say, really, I want to let go, no? To be much more comfortable. I want to let go something because I'm really fed up with the societies, and your thought and your testimony could be much more political, but it can be political and it can be personal, because really I think that personal and political are really part of the same thing. So to start with, you see a cross there or a short pencil perhaps. You just click there. You have the Padlet, you can check that the Padlet, you can open it. And if you cannot open the Padlet, your testimony can go into the chat, and the Crear, Vale, Pena team, Dani and Vanessa, are going to put your testimony inside. So I start with my testimony, and it is that I want to let go of egocentrism and the deafness of politics. I'm not saying in my country, because it's like a global thought, no? I want to let go of egocentrism and deafness of politics. Once you write it, you just put publish, and there you have it. And the other testimony is on what is that I want to bring to life. And the testimony, one can be personal and the other can be political. So I'm going to come with a personal one. That is that I would like to bring to my life days with less tensions and stress. No? My work is fantastic, but it's a little bit too much. So I want to bring to my life days with less tensions and stress. So now you are ready to put in your testimonies. So one for the letting go thing, and the other one for the bringing into life thing. For example, Naomi has put her testimony there. I want to let go of the fear that whatever I do to support others is not enough. Fantastic testimony. So those testimonies are going to be inside, but you can try to use the Padlet. So go ahead.
And everyone, the link to the Padlet has been put in the chat a couple of times.
I think, Danny, that we have a lot of testimonies to work together. So
A lot. So I have work to do. Yeah.
It's so beautiful, the warmth we get in opening doors to our souls, and it's so easy to get in touch. It's so easy. We do not know each other, but we know each other now, no? So moving. I come into tears when we do this type of work, but we're going to come really into tears by the end, when this impro is going to be holding a creation that is our creation, no? So now my turn for saying what? I'm here to try to tell you a little bit on what's happening in Latin America. I'm not going to be speaking from Argentina or even from Crear, Vale, Pena, but I would love you to know a little bit what's happening in terms of teaching arts in Latin America. And also, I would like to share with you my answer or my response on what is it that should be done in terms of promoting teaching arts for well-being globally, planetarian. Vanessa, podemos compartir unas imágenes. I'm going to show some images so you can see something of what I'm speaking about. Latin America. This is Latin America. You see this colorful image. It's in colors because it's a vibrant region full of diversity, cultural richness, and stark contrast, many contrast. I'm part of the community living culture movement, which brings together grassroots organizations throughout the region, from Central America to South. We develop, what is it that we do? We develop neighborhood cultural centers, probably the same you do, community libraries, street theater groups, community radio stations, women's spaces, and even social economy initiatives to build tools for a more participatory democracy and what we call el buen vivir. You can start, lo podemos ver, ¿eh? Se quedó fijo. Pame, Vane, ¿pasa algo con el video? I'm saying that.
Sí, ahí estoy viendo porque no arranca. Un segundito.
Okay. When this short video, it started. You're going to be watching images from different countries showing what we all share in common. The land, the nature, as you see, the forces of capitalism in the region, the social conflicts, as we understand social conflicts caused by a system that leaves 38% of people in structural poverty, but also the resilience that families can build to turning into popular art, as you see, really building cultural and beautiful, artful context in their homes, and the creativity that is promoted by the NGOs working in the territories. Between 2004 and 2009, I coordinated a network that gave birth to a big movement that now no one is coordinating, which connects 1,500 initiatives and in 17 countries across Latin America. We share two sister languages, which makes things really easy to connect, Spanish and Portuguese, and a common history of colonial oppression, followed by a common process of liberation from Spain and Portugal. But beyond that, and much earlier, we share a rich cultural heritage that coming from the indigenous ancestors. And all of them speak about the Pachamama, which is the Earth Mother, a symbol of protection. Despite being one of the most inequitable and violent regions in the world, we are finding ways to transform our realities through this type of networking. So what is social conflict? Social conflict is our subject today. Social conflict is not the type of social conflict we see in Israel against Gaza. In countries like Haiti, El Salvador, Colombia, the violence often takes the form of armed conflict, but that armed conflict is not international, is inside the countries. But in Argentina, you're seeing Argentina, our beautiful nature, the great conflict is that the main cause of violent death, that is suicide, is our first conflict. And we are the first country in Latin America in the consume of alcohol. So thanks to knowing that, we said we cannot arrange problems in each country. So our net has been built to mainly connect with the possibility of advocacy. So we took in 2004 the idea of promoting as a public policy in every country, Los Puntos de Cultura, which is a program coming from Lula da Silva, Brazil, that has now multiplied across the region. Our organization, Crear Vale la Pena, shift, you saw Crear Vale la Pena in the communities, Crear Vale la Pena in the Teachers for Teachers program, and now our Teachers for Teachers program took the place of our work done in cultural centers. Why we did this? Because in our cultural centers, we could work with 800 students, but now in this training of trainers program, we can have the possibility to work with 2,000 professionals across Latin America per year, and our artistic productions can reach 50,000, 100 people in a project that is not only done in Argentina, but in 10 countries in Latin America. So thank you for listening. And now again, we want to end these presentations with another challenge for you. I spoke about social conflict and I spoke about resilience. I would like now to challenge you. Podés poner, Vanessa, la placa. Very quickly, we don't have much time for that, but it would be beautiful if you can put in the chat, what is social conflict for you in your territories? And name your city, because then we can make like a map of social conflict within us. I'm going to write in the chat. Social conflict is when governments, regardless of their political leanings, leave in Argentina 64% of the people adrift, the young people adrift. So now you can put in the chat, what is its social conflict in your territories? Is it clear? Pablo, it was a clear challenge?
Yes, definitely.
Good. Anti-Black racism in Bacon, New York. Great. So what is what are you viewing as social conflict in your city? We see the big picture of social conflict is not only war, gentrification on the Bronx, the homeless in New York City. Pollution, great. And while you keep on going with the social conflict, we go with the second challenge, that is, what is resilience? Because we have the social conflict, we have the problem, but also we are having the responses, we are doing the work. So what is resilience in your territories? For me, collective resilience is when our theater piece reaches 50,000 young people as a way to voice the pain through a play. We do a play for all that young people, and these are the numbers each year. So, Vanessa, ¿podés poner la segunda cosa de resiliencia? So that's collective resilience for me. You can read it in the chat as well. And we can have now a picture of the opposite of social conflict. Even though the conflict is so hard, so difficult to address, what is it the yes? Beautiful. It's so nice to see one in front of the other, conflict with resilience. Resilience is survival in spite of it. Wow, beautiful, huge. So interesting. Well, while people are finishing this writing, Pablo, can you go ahead?
Of course. Well, thank you, Inés. And I mean, so beautiful to see everyone participating in these activities. Before I begin with my presentation about ITAC, and before I share an example of the work our members are doing in conflict settings around the world, I would like to share a very short video I recently came across social media that I think beautifully demonstrates the power of creativity to transform realities in situations of profound complexity and conflict. So give me just 1 second while I share my screen. Okay. Can you see it?
نفس صوت الزنة شوية ثانية بس نطير الطرش عشان نفوت على الطرش نفس صوت الزنة صح؟ طيب خلينا نرجع للقصة نعيد من الأول معي نفس الدرجة
Wow, right? I mean, when I saw this, I actually started to cry. You know, this is a Palestinian music teacher using the sound of a drone to teach children the musical scale. And I mean, what more can really be said or explained after seeing and hearing such a clear, moving example of resilience and transformation? And you know, what fills me with hope and inspiration every day is knowing that, like this example, there are countless teaching artists, community artists, socially engaged artists, and in general, human beings all around the world working tirelessly across contexts, disciplines, and practices to offer creative solutions to the challenges faced by their communities and contributing to a creation of a better possible world. Sorry. And that is precisely the work we aim to do at ITAC, which is finding ways to amplify and support the work of teaching artists by serving as a global platform for visibility, connection, and interaction. ITAC is, we are an international growing network of social change artists from more than 45 countries, currently with 4 national hubs located in Korea, the USA, England, and Norway. And at the moment, we have also 3 more on the radar, potentially in China, Belgium, and Latin America. And we also have multiple programs and initiatives. ITAC currently offers opportunities for capacity building and provides with many free resources, such as our new impact and assessment measurement tool, our Teaching Artistry for Social Impact course, and our monthly think tanks and events designed specifically for our network and our community of teaching artists, but available to anyone. In addition to these efforts that are bringing together hundreds of teaching artists from around the world and new members every day, ITAC is taking significant steps as part of its strategy for network development, capacity building, and advocacy by establishing very important connections with other sectors and secure its role as a creator of possibilities in key international spaces such as UNESCO, the Inner Development Goals, the WHO, among others. We deal every day with people who are carrying out incredible social change projects through the arts, largely unsupported at government level, and we have the commitment of figuring out new ways to strengthen international connections among our sector and beyond. We know firsthand the kinds of impact our sector creates in health settings, armed conflict spaces, humanitarian spaces, and beyond. Our reach and our impact are significant, and yet currently receives almost no international targeted support funding. But despite this, our main goal is to continue trying, iterating, and acting as an effective mediator to influence policymaking decisions, serve as a bridge for coordinated action within our community, and continue advocating for sustainability and recognition of the field. A fundamental aspect that guides our systemic change mindset and approach is the recognition that all these major challenges we are facing at the moment are deeply interconnected. We understand that these issues should not be addressed in isolation, but instead require cross-sector and cross-regional collaboration and shared responsibility to tackle them effectively. We know the arts offer a unique universe of perspectives and possibilities for engaging with these complexities, and that they can be used as an intervention method to achieve meaningful, socially driven goals. This can manifest in various forms, such as using dance to help rehabilitate child soldiers, enabling them to reclaim their bodily autonomy during reintegration into their communities. It could involve theater to challenge societal assumptions and encourage exploration of diverse viewpoints in polarized settings. Music might serve as a nonverbal communication tool in spaces where marginalized voices are often overlooked, or visual arts could be employed to document trauma and initiate healing. These are just a handful of examples to articulate what we know and what I know you know this practice can achieve. And based on this, ITAC is now focusing not only on positioning its work through the 3 pillars, 3 strategic pillars I have just mentioned: network development, advocacy, and capacity building, but also through 4 key areas of action, which are climate, active citizenship, health, and conflict transformation. we're trying to put all that work under those really big umbrellas. There's a really fascinating report from the Brandeis University that I would like to share with you, and Kinsey is going to help me to share that in the chat, which explores how arts and culture contributes constructively to addressing these complex challenges that we are facing as humanity. And what I find really interesting of this report is that it was written and published before the Russian invasion and before the new crisis, the recent crisis in Palestine and Israel. And I think it holds even more significance now than ever. Also, I will take a moment here to share a link in the chat where you can register for ITAC's virtual space. In there, you will be able to find many excellent resources, connect to our global community, and by signing in, you will automatically start receiving our newsletter to stay updated on ITAC's latest news and opportunities. Please join us. You are all more than welcome to use this space, which is completely free and open to everyone. And now, to conclude my presentation, I would like to share an example from one member of our community that is currently working in one of the most difficult and complex conflicts in the world right now, which is Palestine and Israel. It is important to know that ITAC does not hold intellectual property rights over any of these projects. Their stories, materials, and creative work belong solely to the artists, the organizations, and their teams. So let me put this video real quick.
Because my kids are afraid to go to school.
Because I lost too many friends.
Because I didn't see my family for 2 years.
Because I was a kid when they put a gun in my hand.
Because I pass a military checkpoint every day.
Because it corrupts me from within.
Because if you resist, they arrest you.
Because I arrested too many.
Because of the racism,
Oppression.
Suffering.
Terror.
Because violence is not the answer.
Because violence is not the answer.
We are Palestinians and Israelis.
We have seen the violence.
We've taken part in it.
we choose violence no more.
We fight for peace now.
We have done thousands of activities.
Protests, meetings, non-violent acts of resistance. And the unique annual memorial ceremony.
In which we remember our dead loved ones.
Our fight for peace and freedom needs you.
Because together,
we make a difference.
Okay. Well, Hank Allen, who is one of those people in that video, is a theater activist, director, scholar, Nobel Prize nominee, and member of ITAC's leadership committee, who co-founded Combatants for Peace, a movement of Israelis and Palestinians working together to promote a just peace in the region based on equal rights for all individuals between the Mediterranean Sea and the Jordan River. Activism in the complicated reality in Israel and Palestine led him as a professional actor and director to search and create new forms of activist theater with conflicted groups of Palestinian and Israelis. Over the years, new generations of peace activists have joined the Combatants for Peace movement. Their common denominator is a deep willingness to interact with the other side, listen, debate, and cooperate. And now Combatants for Peace has grown to become the largest joint Palestinian-Israeli NGO in the region. Of course, the current war and crisis have posed a new and incredibly challenging test for them. However, they have remained resilient and are gradually working to resume their actions and activities. Recently, Hans shared with us that the situation is deeply depressing and discouraging due to the uncertainty of not knowing when it will end. Still, he wanted for us to see the picture you see on the screen, which captures their performance and protests in Tel Aviv's central city square against the starvation in Gaza. Of course, there are other remarkable examples of artists working in different contexts. We know of artists doing amazing work in Venezuela in secrecy because of the great dangers that they live there. And also we know many artists working with refugees from all over the world. People in Italy working with refugees from Ukraine, people in Sweden working with refugees from Middle East. And obviously an hour is not enough time to fully showcase the incredible work of teaching artists around the world. But I hope that in this very condensed 15 minutes that I just presented this, that it was useful and helpful to you. And please reach out to us, contact us. You already have the link to the website, so please feel free to get in touch, and you are more than welcome to join the ITAC community. Thank you so much for listening. Back to you, Inés.
Well, if I have short 2 minutes to bring some kind of conclusion after seeing this incredible work Hen Allen does, no? This is so complex, but if we get together, so be part of ITAC, being together is having the chance of changing something. Our isolated work would never reach the standards, the results we need, because we're speaking about death, violence, suicide, crime, climate change. Well-being is complex. All these issues I mentioned are complex, but culture is not seen in the complexity it should be seen. Culture is often fragmented. It's misunderstood because it is seen as the fine arts or the entertainment or the creative economy or the engagement in the human rights, which is all that, but it's only working in lines that do not connect together. Arts and culture are much more than that. They're not our productions, they're not objects. It's about connections. It's about what we already did. It's about shaping the world we want to shape. And we need to go for the money and the resources we need. But if we don't explain to the world what culture is, we are not going to be having the support we deserve. Ariane Mouchkine, probably you all know Ariane Mouchkine, a famous French director, said, "I insist in saying that it's neither illegitimate nor illogical to think that culture should be subsidized by all ministers to which it provides invaluable services." Eric Booth, that is sharing with us, founder of ITAC, says, "We have a world of teaching arts that is like a sleeping giant." So for awakening the sleeping giant, my perspective is that, inspired in Ariane Mouchkine, we should try to avoid to be only having encounters within teaching artists. We should be having urgently an interdisciplinary and intersectorial agenda. If we do not rethink their approaches in the cultural field, efforts to involve culture in development will continue to be misguided. And this much desired culture transformation will remain just a wish cast to the wind. So let's be part of ITAC, let's come together, as Hen Allen is saying, and we will succeed. Thank you.
Yes, so we have the collective Are we
Yes.
going to that now?
I don't know if it's ready. ¿Está lista, Vanessa, la creación?
En creación, estamos en proceso.
No,
Oh.
we can have a little bit of
Lo puedo
question
conseguir.
and answers.
I can show it now, but if you let me a little few minutes more, I can make it longer. But if you want it, I can
Good.
show it now. I got
No,
3
we can have a
pages.
little bit, we can change a little bit the agenda, Pablo and Kinsey, and we can have some questions and answers if there are some already there.
Okay.
And then we read the collective poem.
Yes, I don't have any questions that I saw come in through the chat, but folks who are on the call, now is the time. If you have questions, please, you can put them in the chat and we'll read them aloud. You can also raise a hand and come off of mute and pose your question to our presenters. Hi, Tanya, I see you.
Hi, yes. Thank you all so very much. This is really lovely. And I actually am a member of ITAC. And I know a few folks in my community who have been able to go to there's a conference every year, and I'm wondering if you could speak to that and your experience with that.
Yes, so we have ITAC actually started with those conferences back in 2012, if I'm not wrong, Eric and Inés. So it started with those conferences. Those conferences happen every 2 years. We had our last one last year in August, September in New Zealand, in Auckland, New Zealand, and the next one is happening next year in Belgium and the Lowlands. So the idea with the conferences was, and it still is, to bring the community of teaching artists that exists all over the world. And right now it has happened successfully since 2012. And right now it's evolving into what Inés was mentioning a little bit ago, which is start to integrate new voices from other places, from other sectors. Also with this in mind that I mentioned in the presentation, that all of these issues we know we are experiencing now in the world are all interconnected, and they require all these different points of view, all these different approaches from all sectors, right? And we know that from the arts, there's a lot of potential, there's a lot of power that can help transforming these issues, these problems, these challenges. We see it every day with ITAC, and that's why, speaking for myself, my experience with ITAC has been amazing, and just coming to this organization has been really a life-changing experience. I come from Venezuela. I live in Buenos Aires, Argentina, but coming from my country, I had to leave my country in not because I wanted, but because I was, I needed to leave because of the situation. And I have been here for 9 years in Argentina, and this is now my home, and I completely love. I already become an Argentinian legally, but finding this community, finding the world of teaching artistry, finding this has been really, it has given me hope. So these conferences you see many. It's so inspiring to see the work that all of these teaching artists are doing all over the world. But yeah, I hope that answers your question a little bit.
Thank you. Thank you, Pablo.
Thank you.
The point is that ITAC is making a fantastic change, a new way, because getting together in the congresses is fabulous, it's fantastic, but it's an event. Now ITAC is trying to develop processes, intelligent political processes. It's not about political parties, but it's about changing the world. Because we have this problem that on the one side, you have the beautiful workshops, the beautiful artistic creations, the beautiful theaters in the streets, but who is aware of that? The funding, the institutions that should be promoting that, they really are absent because they ignore it. So it's not resisting, but it's amplifying our work by connection, by building a global community that can really show, by experiencing this, what cultural transformation means. And our scenario is not the traditional theater, it's not the galleries. Our scenario is political. So now we're trying to go to these three challenges, that is networking, capacity building, and advocacy, especially, to see if our voice can be heard, because we are going into experiential saying and not discourses, no?
That sounds really amazing. I was just wondering, could you give us an example of your advocacy work, how you do it globally?
Yes. For example, now, Crear de la Pena, that started having workshops with young people from disadvantaged communities, shanty towns around Buenos Aires. Then we shifted from there because we understood that the work was fantastic, but it was only 800 students a year in these shanty towns. And we have now 64% of the young people in Argentina living under the line of poverty. So we went into the Teachers for Teachers program that's called Creative Environments, Entornos Creativos, and we spread over, and now we can reach so many students because we teach 2,000 teachers and health promoters a year. But the teachers are needing new public policies to change education. So now we connected public officials in our workshops with grassroots organizations and NGOs, so they can build strategic work to promote new public policies in certain places in Latin America, that is Colombia and Argentina. Now we are part of a net that works in 10 countries with one theater piece to prevent the consume of alcohol, to try to understand why young people go into the consume of alcohol. And now we are going to be working together to make a diagnosis, a poetic diagnosis, on why is it that the young people suffer from alcohol consumption. And we're going to be presenting the results of this to the national and local governments of these 10 countries. So it's a kind of workshopping thing, different from what we did in the past, because we need to reach that complexity of action so we can be really understood.
Yeah, and actually, I mentioned that we are working right now to bring 3 new hubs to the current hubs that ITAC have. And one of those hubs is a Latin American hub represented by that network that Inés just mentioned. And we are super excited for that possibility because we think that work that Inés just mentioned is something that could be very beneficial to the global perspective. You know, that the global South representation within these spaces is so necessary. So yeah, hopefully we will have that hub happening this year, Inés.
Luckily. I put, Paulina was asking for our contacts. I already put my mail, but Pablo, you can put your mail perhaps. Okay, ready?
Good, good.
So 3,
Finally.
2, 1, ready, go. Thank you, Danny. Beautiful work. Don't you feel that we are already friends? It's so amazing, no?
I think reading all these things, they are a lot that are repeated, you know, and it was difficult for me to create different things because you all think the same. And what we always say in Crear Vale la Pena is that we all feel the same about art, about everything. We think about people and about ourselves. We have the same problems. And yeah, so that was beautiful. I really enjoyed reading those things because I felt the same about that. So thank you all for sharing what you feel.
That common ground are the pencils that Helen hold in the hand. So let's go for those pencils. Huh? So beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've come to the end of our time together this evening, but I hope you're seeing how much gratitude and love is in the chat for your offerings this evening. So everyone join me in thanking Pablo and Inés and Vanessa and Danny for working so hard behind the scenes to put our thoughts together for that beautiful collective poem at the end. We're just so grateful for everything you offered us tonight. So there was a question in the chat, will folks have access to these links? And yes, I will send them all, everything that was in the chat in terms of links and contact information, I will send them in our follow-up email for the series. So look,
including the poem.
Yes, yeah, I would love to share the poem as well. If you'll email it to me, I'll share it out with everybody. And I want to invite everyone to join us next week, same time, same place, Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We are gathering for our second Teaching Artist Wednesdays session. That is going to be Resist, Recharge, Resurge with Wema Rahopala. And you likely have already signed up, but if you haven't, go back to the events website and sign up for next week's as well. We'd love to have you join us. Just two other quick things that I'd like to say before we close. The first is that face-to-face registration or for early bird registration opened today. So if you haven't checked it out, we have our website mostly updated with conference information, which is going to begin on April 7th and go through April 17th. The first week is virtual and completely free. And then the second week of the face-to-face conference will be in person at City College again this year in New York. If you have questions about that, please always feel free to reach out. And then lastly, I'd also like to invite you to join us on February 4th at 4 p.m. We are doing our annual tax and money tips for teaching artists with Empire Tax Prep session. That is also a free event accessible to everyone. So bring your tax questions and your money questions, and we will do our best to get them all answered that evening. And I think that's it from us. So thank you so much to our presenters again. We hope to hear from you soon, and have a wonderful evening, everybody.
Thank you, thank you,
Thank you so much.